Hey, long time no see, everybody out there in the VC and in YouTube land. Kendall Stokes, hey, I'm back. It's been a while. Um, Welcome to another edition of the Spin Doctor and his Vinyl Mayhem YouTube channel. It's been about a month. Had a lot going on. Been sick. My father had a knee replacement. I spent a lot of time with him, helping him out. As I'm sure many of you know that have had relatives, or maybe even you yourself have had that kind of thing done. It can be rather difficult. My father's almost 70 years old, so he needed some help for a bit, but he's doing really good now, so doesn't really need as much help as he needed at the very beginning. But anyway, I'm back now. Hopefully get back on the routine of doing some videos, because I got a bunch of stuff that I've picked up over the last month and a half or so, and I'm going to show some things, talk about some things. As you've seen the heading of this video, I'm going to talk about something that I think tons of people I know have talked about, but it's something that I want to talk about, coming from someone that buys records on a budget, collects on a budget. And you know, I started collecting records, you know, a little over 2.5 years ago, probably, really getting into actual collecting. I've always been a music fan, always been a record fan, but I didn't really get into the habit or the actual, you know, nitty gritty of buying records and looking at, you know, what this hobby really is until about then. And it was really the pandemic that kind of got it all started for me. And so, you know, I started watching a lot of YouTube videos, and, you know, I kind of got caught up in the whole, you know, just big boom of it all, you know. And I wanted to learn so much, but the problem was that I was learning too much, I think, at the time, and just got caught up in, you know, I need to get this, I need to do this, I need to do this, and it was almost kind of overwhelming. And I started buying before I really knew what I was doing, and that's what I kind of want to talk about a little bit, because maybe I was spending too much money on records, or too much money on this and too much money on that, and I didn't need to. And now, with the way things are, vinyl prices going up, there's so many different versions of this record and that record, you know, what sounds better, what's the best, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, we have so many different things that we can choose from, and I think it can be overwhelming for a lot of people, and it can also be very pricey. And me, you know, I have a family. I have, you know, a wife and 3 kids. You know, I got to support, you know, my wife and I, we try to make sure that we can put food on the table, you know, gas in our cars, you know, a roof over our heads, but we still want to try to have things to make us happy. And, you know, records make me happy. So, you know, we have to make sure that we, you know, put money where it needs to be. So, you know, I had to learn, okay, I need to budget myself on what I buy. Now, first thing I want to definitely say is I am not an audiophile. You know, like I said, I started really collecting records about almost 3 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer now. And so, you know, I don't have the most expensive setup. You know, I have a decent one, I think, and I'm slowly making it better and better, you know, which is what you do. You know, you don't need to go out, you know, for day one and buy the best of everything. You know, I started off really, really low, and I've started to work my way up. But, you know, you do that as you learn more and more, and you budget yourself better and better. But what I want to talk about are, you know, the records, because, like I said, there's so many to choose from. And one of the big topics that's always going around is, you know, these pressings of records and what sounds good and what sounds bad. And you know what? It's really, in my opinion, up to you what you think sounds good. You know, I watch so many videos of people that know a heck of a lot more than me, and they say this pressing is the best, or this pressing is the best, analog this, digital that. And, you know, there's so many choices, and sometimes the choice that they say is this $150, Analog Productions UHQR, or this $100 Mobile Fidelity, or, blah, blah, Rhino High Fidelity, $40, $60, whatever. I can't afford to spend that kind of money on a record. Have I? Yes. Should I have? Maybe not. So I decided, okay, what's best for me? What should I do? And, one thing that came to my mind was this record right here. This is Phil Collins' Face Value. Great record. His first solo album. We all know this record. The big hit off this one is In the Air Tonight. Now, Analog Productions, they're Atlantic 75. They just did this double 45 RPM, $60. That's a lot of money for a record that you can find at most record stores between $10 to $20, depending on condition. Now, I have heard so many people say that Analog Productions blows everything out of the water. The sound is phenomenal. And you know what? It probably is. Do I like that record enough to spend $60 on it? Probably not. Do I like it enough to spend $10 to $20 on it? Yes, I do. Now, sound quality wise, if I find a really nice copy, which this is, and I spend about 15 bucks on it, sounds really, really good, quiet. Turn that thing up, crank it, because In the Air Tonight is a phenomenal song. When that drum solo kicks in, it just blows you away. And you know what? It sounds great. Do I need $60 for a record to sound great? Or do I need $20 for a record to sound great? I'm fine spending $15 to $20 for a record to sound great, because guess what? It does. This is an original pressing in VG Plus, excellent condition, and it sounds great. I just saved myself 40 plus bucks, and it's not double 45 RPM either. One disc compared to two. Now, don't get me wrong. If you have the money and want to, go ahead and spend the 60 bucks. No skin off my back, obviously. I'm just saying, for me and my condition, this works best for me. It's cheaper. And it sounds excellent. Another one that I want to show is this one right here. This is Mel Brown Chicken Fat. This record I learned through watching YouTube videos. This is a nice funk instrumental guitar record. I love the guitar. This was put out by Jackpot Records. If you don't know Jackpot Records, they did those Meters records here recently. I believe they did some Booker T and the MGs records. They've done a lot more as well. Now, this record, an original, super expensive and hard to find. Verve by Request did a repress of this as well, which is still readily available. And like I said, there's the Jackpot Records as well. Now, this is considered an audiophile record because it's all analog, cut from the tapes, cut by Kevin Gray, who's known as a great mastering engineer. And this thing, it's on red vinyl. It's got that Impulse label on it. This thing kills. Such a great record. Sounds flawless. Drop that needle, perfect, quiet, and then that guitar kicks in and it is booming out of your speakers. Oh my gosh, such an amazing funk record. Just killer guitar. So good. If you like funk, jazz, soul, this is right up your alley. Amazing sounding. One of the best sounding records probably in my collection. Amazing. And guess what? Cost less than 30 bucks. I think I spent 27 bucks on this. Amazing. Absolutely phenomenal. Jackpot Records. The Verve by Request one, I think cost a little over 30. I've heard it sounds good too. I've heard some people say this one sounds better. I've heard some people say the Verve. You know what? For me, I'm going to spend less than 30 bucks if I can, compared to more than 30 bucks. That's just my opinion. Again, it's all about what works best for me. And these are readily available. Next, this one got a lot of attention in the vinyl community for sure. This is Television's debut album, Marquee Moon. If you haven't heard about all the stuff going on, look it up on YouTube. Craziness with the whole Kevin Gray cut with the Rhino High Fidelity series. This is not that version. This isn't an original version. This is a 2023 pressing by Rhino, by a gentleman that I've never heard of. Probably a digital source, I'm sure. It comes on that Electra label. But this thing sounds great. Sounds absolutely phenomenal. Killer rock music, punk rock, if you want to call it that. And I spent less than 25 bucks on this. And I'm good with that. I don't need something that people are going on and on about in the vinyl community or the Hoffman forums or whatever, saying this version is the way the artist intended it to be, that, you know, or this one is better because it was cut by Kevin Gray, or this version is better because there's more bass, there's not enough bass, yada yada yada. This one just sounds good to my ears, and that's what I want, something that sounds good to my ears. Originals of this go for triple digits, and the high fidelity version, yeah, you get a nice cover, you know, 180 gram, which this is too. It comes with a Obi strip and a nice booklet. Okay, that's fine. Am I gonna look at the booklet? No, probably not. Am I gonna spend 40 bucks and then another 10 bucks on shipping? Or am I gonna spend 25 bucks at my local record store where these are readily available and the record still sounds good to my ears? I'm gonna spend 25 bucks on a record that sounds really good to my ears. There's just no point in that. You know, why spend more when I can spend less and have something that sounds just as good, in my opinion? I am not that detail oriented. You know, I'm sorry, my ears just don't pick out that kind of stuff. Is it my gear? Well, maybe, I guess. I don't know. Or is it just that I don't care that much? I don't know. Or is it that I'm too cheap? Maybe. But if I'm happy with this, what does it matter? All right, these are just a couple more things. Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? We all know this record if you are a classic rock fan. One of the biggest records to come out of the late 60s. Jimi Hendrix is one of the best guitar players to ever walk the face of the earth. And originals of this are getting more and more expensive. It's been reissued 1 million times during the 70s and the 80s. And then, of course, Analog Productions released a UHQR, which I've heard sounds absolutely phenomenal. I don't doubt it, but it's also over 100 bucks. You can still get them on their website. They say they have few in stock. I don't know how true that is. Or you can spend 20 bucks at your local record store and get this cut, which is also all analog mastered by George Moreno. And it's also still pressed at QRP, Analog Productions. To me, that's a no-brainer. 20 bucks, it sounds absolutely phenomenal. And great quality. And it's one of the biggest rock albums of all time. 20 bucks compared to 100. I mean, come on. Do the math in your head. I mean, you could buy 5 of these for the price of buying 1 UHQR. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, 5. Sorry, I'm not good at math. But yeah, I mean, come on. Just think about that. What makes more sense? And lastly, the last one I'm just going to show is this one here. This was done by, again, this one is also done at Analog Productions. This is the Verve by Request series, I believe, or the Verve Impulse series. This is a jazz record. John Coltrane is one of my favorite jazz artists. This is Ballads. Beautiful jazz album. Phenomenal. I bought this a couple years back for like 30 bucks. It's a 33 RPM, 180 gram vinyl. I think this was cut by Ryan K. Smith, if I remember correctly. Stoughton jacket, all that stuff that you hear them say on those videos that you probably don't know what they mean. I mean, I don't, you know, there's so many things that they say in these videos that I'm like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what you're talking about. I just know that that it looks good and it sounds good. But they just did a UHQR of this, double 45 RPM. They say it sounds phenomenal. I'm sure it does, but you know what? To me, this sounds phenomenal. Dead quiet, beautiful sounding record. Probably one of my favorite jazz records, John Coltrane. The John Coltrane Quartet. Beautiful, beautiful sounding. Love this. Why would I spend 150 bucks on something that I already have a really nice copy of on 33 RPM? Again, that, you know, don't have to keep changing the sides over and over again. I just don't understand it. Again, 33 bucks compared to, or 30 bucks compared to 150. I mean, just do the math in your head. Already sounds great. Why do I need to spend the extra money on something that's going to take up more room that I don't need? Now, I'm not bad mouthing these high-end pressings of the records. You know what? If I was made of money and I had the, you know, the biggest, baddest setup, yeah, I'd probably go ahead and buy all those. But guess what? I don't. And so I buy what's within my budget. I do research, you know. I make sure I don't buy junk because I bought junk in the past. But I want to make sure that I'm getting what makes me happy and what I can afford. So anyway, guys, I hope I didn't bore you or piss anybody off. That's the last thing I want to do. I'm just trying to inform because that's what I needed. And thankfully I got as I did more research and made friends out there in the vinyl community. And I appreciated that. You know, record store owners helped me out as well. You know, Dylan at Noble Records was a big help as I got into this hobby. And then other owners as well, and friends that I made, the guys at the Record Bar, guys like Doug Osbury, those were guys that were big helps. And like I said, other channels, Steve Carlson, Concert Buddy, guys like that were big helps as well. So just, you know, do what's right for you is what I'm going to say. But anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave me a thumbs up. Leave me some comments as well. Let me know what you think. Am I speaking out of line? Maybe. I'm sorry if I am. And hope to see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed it. And catch you next time. Bye.